Welcome to Travel Tutor. In this episode, we're going to look at booking on flyporter.com. Open your browser and type www.flyporter.com into the address bar, and this is the page that will load. If you scroll down, you'll notice this white area in the middle of the page. This is where we're going to enter our search criteria. So be sure to have the Book a Flight tab selected. We're going to start with the Where From box, so we can just click on that. And if there's a city in there, you can just backspace over it to delete it. And a drop-down will open, so you can choose your departure city either from the list or by typing in the box. So we're going to select Toronto. The only option with Toronto is Toronto Billy Bishop, which is YTZ. And then we're going to type in our destination or select from the drop-down menu. We'll start with Montreal as our destination. Let's enter our dates. So for this example, let's use May 2nd and a return on May 5th. And Porter offers round-trip flights and one-way flights, but not multi-city. So if you have something that needs multiple legs, or you're flying into one city and out of another, you'll have to do those on separate bookings. And here's where you enter a promotion code. Porter has really frequent promos out, so sign up to receive their emails because they're almost every day. Here we'll enter the number of passengers. Porter allows us to book up to 9 adults per booking. For this example, we'll stick with 1. And be sure to break out any children or infants you have traveling as well. And if that looks good, we're going to hit Find Flights. Here we go. And keep in mind, Porter's a great option, especially if you live downtown Toronto, because the airport is in such a convenient location. But they do have a smaller network and fly to a fewer number of destinations. So they're not for everyone, but if you live in Toronto, awesome option. Now we're going to select flights for our outbound. So this is a Toronto-Montreal. It does show us the fares for 3 days before and 3 days after. So if you're a bit flexible, you might be able to get a lower fare by shifting your date. It looks for our purposes that the lowest fare is $123 across the board. So we'll just stick with our date. And now below are the flight options. You can order these in a number of different ways by selecting here where it says sort by departure time. So you can sort them by the lowest price, the number of stops, the flight duration, arrival time, or departure time. Let's select lowest fare. And here are the 3 fare levels that Porter offers, which are Firm, Flexible, and Freedom. You can see as we move up towards Freedom, the fare is increasing. If you'd like to know more information about each fare level and what the differences are, you can just open here on this downward arrow next to Fare Class Comparison, and it opens up a chart here that shows you the difference. You can guess just by the difference in the fares that the Firm fare is more restrictive and doesn't have anything included like seats or bags or changes, whereas if you move up towards the Freedom fare, you'll get those sorts of items included. Okay, so looking at the times here, there's very frequent flights to Montreal, so let's select something late morning. This one looks good, 11:35 a.m., gets in at 12:45. There's the flight number PD467. Let's click on that to select it. And next, we will move down and look at options for the return. Again, I'm going to sort them by lowest price. So it looks like they're $135. So I'm going to select this 12:15, arriving back into Toronto $125. Perfect. And you'll notice this little tag here. That's indicating that that's a sale fare that you've chosen. So always look to make sure that you're getting the best available fare. That's why I'd recommend sorting them by lowest fare. Okay, so let's scroll down, and it gives us a summary of the fare type that we've chosen and also the rules. So we've selected the Firm fare. It tells us it's non-refundable, what the cost to make a change is, if we want to assign a seat, what all those fees would be. So we scroll down, let's look at that. Look, that looks great. If I want to know more about baggage fees or about fare rules, I can open these little drop downs and read more about it. You'll also notice across the bottom here, this blue bar that's been constant. This is a running total of what we've selected so far. So far with just our flights, we're up to 258.51. If I want more information, I can select that drop down. It'll show me exactly what makes up that 258.51. Also provides the flight times again, just if I'm not sure if I selected the right one, I can go back and double check that. So to move forward, we have to accept the conditions of carriage. So just select that box. And Porter also reminds you here that some fares have limited availability and nothing is guaranteed until you actually confirm with payment. Okay. So if we want to move forward, we're going to select book your flights. So next we're going to enter the passenger details. This is where we want to be extra careful. We need to make sure that the name matches the traveler's ID or passport exactly. Having even one letter off can mean that they are denied boarding, which is not what we want to happen. If there's a middle name, be sure to include it in that middle name box as well. This is a domestic booking, so we don't need to enter the date of birth or the gender, but if this was a booking to the US or to another international destination, that information would be required. If you or the traveler has a VI Porter number, which is their frequent flyer program, you'd enter that there, otherwise leave it blank. Next, we're going to enter the email address where we want Porter to send the confirmation. So let's double check and make sure that's correct. Great. And also a phone number. If there's a flight cancellation or a significant delay, Porter might try to call. So make sure that this is the best contact phone number for you, cell phone number if possible. Okay, so next are special service requests. So if you need mobility or wheelchair assistance or any other types of assistance, including allergies, you'd enter that here. If there is something that's not listed on this page that the passenger needs, you can call into Porter and they will assist you from there. You can also enter pet information if you're traveling with pet in a cabin. Most other airlines require you to call in, so that's a neat feature. And they just have a little survey. They want to know why you're traveling. It's optional. You don't have to answer those questions. And you're going to click here to agree that everything you've listed above is correct. So if you're not sure, go back and give it a once over. Make sure especially the name is correct. Oops, sorry, we do need to enter a gender. So I did not include that. So now we've got it. Okay, so let's move ahead to seat selection. So if you recall, we selected the lowest fare, which was firm, and it did tell us that if we want to assign a seat, we need to pay for it. So let's see how much it'll cost. So here's the seat map on this side, and it tells you at each seat what the cost is. So if you want these premium seats closer to the front, they have more legroom, they're $45. These ones that are still bigger, but not as big as the premium plus ones, these are $34, and then just the classics, these are $23. So let's go ahead and select a classic seat. I always recommend purchasing seats if they're not included with the fare. Let's do the return now. If the flight is oversold, those that don't have seats selected are usually the first ones bumped. So if you're traveling and you absolutely need to arrive on time, be sure to pay for the seats. If you're a little bit flexible and you don't care if you're in an aisle or a window, you can wait and select the seats 24 hours prior at check-in, no charge, but completely up to you. But just my opinion, I would recommend paying for the seats. Okay, so we're done with the seats. Now we're going to move on to baggage. So Porter is going to allow us to prepay for the bags if we want to. So you can enter here, he's traveling with however many bags, and it tells you how much it's going to cost. So you can either do that now or they can do it at the airport. There's also more information here if you want it. So how big can the bag be? What can I check, etc. There's also an option if you have sporting equipment. For instance, Porter goes to Mont Tremblant. So if you want to check your skis, here's the information for that. Okay, so we're just going to leave it as no bags. Maybe John has just a carry-on or he just would prefer to pay at the airport. Next is insurance. If we want to add insurance for John, we can do that here. Insurance is something that we're going to talk about in another episode. So we're just going to decline this for now. And we're going to move on to summary. So now we're just going to review everything. Let's make sure that everything we've entered is correct. So there's no mistakes. So there's our outbound flight with the times. It allows us the opportunity to change if we realize, no, I actually don't want that one. I meant to select the 12:30 instead. Otherwise, just leave it as it is. So those look good. And our grand total at the bottom is $303.71. So if we're ready to go ahead, just double checking the name here as well. Again, an opportunity to change the name if I realize that I've made a mistake without starting all over again. But that looks fine. So let's go ahead and hit continue to payment. And we're going to enter our payment, which is our final screen before actually confirming anything. So if you have a credit or a voucher or a gift certificate, you can open those to enter that information here. Otherwise, we're going to pay by credit card. Notice that Porter does not accept debit or Interact Online. So it's either a gift card, voucher, credit, or in lieu of those, it's going to be a credit card. So you'll enter the credit card information here. They do request the billing information. They just want to match up the billing address with the actual credit card as prevention against fraud. And once you're entered that, you can hit complete purchase. Once the booking has completed and confirmed, Porter will generate a confirmation code. It's 6 characters in length, a mix of letters and numbers. Please make a note of that, write it down. That is your code to access your booking and to complete your online check-in. Porter will also send you an email confirmation to the email address you entered. So check that when it comes through and just review it again to make sure everything is correct. You want to catch any mistakes as early as possible and not while you're checking in or you're at the airport. Thanks for joining this episode of Travel Tutor. Let us know in the comments below if you have any questions and if there's any topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. And be sure to click on subscribe. We're here to help you get the most out of booking your travel.